Hello and welcome to my review and analysis of Life is Strange Before the Storm. Before I get started, I would like to explain how I'll be organizing this video. I'll be splitting it into 5 main sections, that being gameplay, story, characters, extra stuff like music and whatnot, and then my final thoughts and opinions on the game. This is my second playthrough, so these are not 100% first opinions, and it has been quite a while since I've actually written the script and also actually played the game, so this is not super fresh in my mind. But I do want to take what I have written down, what I have experienced, what I remember from both my first playthrough and my second playthrough, and think about my opinions and how I feel about this game. If you have not played this game before, I do highly recommend you do so before watching this video, so you can experience it for yourself without spoilers, and so you can form your own thoughts and opinions. If you don't want to play it, you could always watch someone else or me play it. I do have my own playthrough on it. It's not the best, but, whatever. Although, I assume whoever is watching this probably has played the game, so let us begin. Gameplay is a good place to start because it's what I have the least to talk about, but is still an important part of the game. The gameplay is very simple and is like most other games in the genre. You walk around, look at things, talk to people, and make choices primarily through dialogue, sometimes action, or a mix of both. Well, personally, this is not my preferred type of gameplay, more of an action-adventure kind of guy. I think it is very good for what this game is trying to do. While it might not feel super in-depth in actual action, it is tied heavily to the story and it works well for games like it. It is incredibly immersive and gives the player the ability to somewhat shape the story and characters how they want. The thing this game tries to do different in terms of gameplay is called backtalk, where you just have to choose the right options in order to persuade someone or win an argument. Unfortunately, this is something you already do in every kind of choose-your-own-adventure story game like this, including other Life is Strange games, which in my opinion do it a little bit better because you don't actually see your progress and you have to just hope you're choosing the right options and you only see its effects at the very end. Overall, the gameplay is great for what kind of game it is and what it is trying to do, but it isn't anything unique, which isn't necessarily bad. Moving on to what I have the most conflict with in this game, its story. But first, I want to talk about what I actually do like about its story, and that is the little bonus Max and Chloe episode you get in this game. It's only a little over an hour long, and it is crucial to the actual story of both Before the Storm and even Life is Strange 1. It's hands down the biggest event in Chloe's life and completely changes the course of it. In the bonus episode, you actually play as Max, Chloe's childhood best friend, hanging out at Chloe's house, doing chores, and playing a game. Most of the story revolves around a treasure hunt and Max worrying about how to tell Chloe she is moving soon. The treasure hunt is nice and ends with a girl finding a time capsule with some stuff in it and letters to their older selves. Shortly after this, Max sadly informs Chloe about her move, but as it turns out, Chloe already knows. They comfort each other and they make plans to ride and talk to each other and hang out. Unfortunately, this moment is ruined by the worst thing that has ever happened to Chloe. Her mom walks in, escorted by police, as she tells her that her father was killed in a car accident. What was this happy little adventure turns into a tragedy as we watch the funeral as Max leaves. When Chloe goes home, she goes upstairs to find a message from Max, talking about how much she wants to be there for Chloe, how sorry she is, and hopes that one day their friendship could be just like it was. Something we see never happens. This bonus episode has more emotion and impact than anything that happens in the base game, in my opinion. This is why Chloe became who she is, and it is horrible to see what happened to such a happy and promising little girl. Episode 1 takes place only 2 years after the events of the bonus episode, and starts with a Chloe we don't recognize. One on a railroad track smoking a cigarette and seeming to barely avoid a train for fun. As we learn, she is going to an old mill where a band she likes is playing. Her first objective is to try to get in, even though she's not allowed. Once in, she bumps into some jerks and ends up getting saved by Rachel, and the two of them party late into the night. The next day, Rachel convinces Chloe to skip school with her and head to the park, where they see Rachel's dad kissing another woman. This makes Rachel upset. She and Chloe get into an argument and head separate ways. Later, they talk to one another, and Rachel burns a photo of her father and ends up starting a wildfire. Now, those are the broad strokes of the story, and there are a lot of smaller and very important moments in this game as well. Primarily, meeting David and the dad dream sequence. Episode 1 is a good introduction to our new Chloe, showing us who she has become after the death of her father. It also introduces us to the second main character in this game, Rachel Amber, a straight-A popular girl who's ready for some change in her life. While episode 1 doesn't have necessarily too much going for it, it does set up the story and characters well, and I don't really have any complaints. Episode 2 is definitely my favorite base game episode. It starts with meeting Principal Wells for skipping school, and that ends with Chloe getting expelled. After that, David and Joyce try to be a bit tougher on Chloe and inform her that David will be moving in. This upsets Chloe, and she chooses to run to the junkyard where she finds an old truck she thinks she can fix. Rachel comes by before she has to go to her performance, and they talk about running away. Frank later comes and gets Chloe, but as she is approaching the RV, the woman Rachel's dad was kissing was leaving it. After she goes in, Frank asks Chloe to help him get the money that Drew owes him. She makes her way into the dorm room and gets his money, but is interrupted by Drew, Mikey, and Damon. In my playthrough, Chloe gave Damon the money and Mikey ended up breaking his arm. Chloe leaves and ends up at the play. As it turns out, the actress for Ariel is running late, and Rachel convinces the director and Chloe to take over for the role. Now, this is my favorite and, in my opinion, best moment of the game. They use the play to show Chloe's and Rachel's relationship in a new way and further expand on how they view each other and as a confirmation as their plan to escape. It's such a great bonding moment, and it shows you how well they can get along, and I wish there were way more moments like this. The entire moment and scene after it are so wholesome and fun, and if you do it right, it almost does feel like a real high after the show. And it's just so unique as well. There's no other moment like this one for the rest of the game. After it, they do make plans to leave that night, but first Rachel has to grab a few more things, so they head back to her house. While trying to sneak through the house, they are asked if they want to stay for dinner, and they decide to stay to uphold appearances. While eating, Rachel's dad is confronted about what they saw, and he tells them that the woman was Rachel's real mother. And that is the end of Episode 2. Overall, Episode 2 is the best, in my opinion, in the game. It sets up a lot of things for both Episode 3 and Life is Strange 1, and also builds a lot off of the first episode. Episode 3 starts out strong by giving us the answer to what is going on. Rachel's dad tells them the story of his and Sarah's relationship. She was the most sought-after girl in school, and he was the lucky one to get her. As the relationship grew, he saw that nothing was ever enough for her. When they had Rachel, he thought things would change, and they did for a little while. Unfortunately, Sarah falls back in the old patterns, bringing and using drugs into the house with a baby, causing her to neglect her responsibilities. This was the last straw, and they made an arrangement for Mr. Amber to take full custody while he gave her money to help her. This news upsets Rachel, and she chooses to go to her room. Chloe follows and tries to comfort Rachel in a really nice sequence by setting up a light that fills the room with stars. They talk and they decide that Rachel still wants to find Sarah. The next morning, Chloe sneaks back home and calls Frank to help set up a meeting. After such a long day, Chloe takes a shower and adds a blue stripe to her hair. Before she leaves, her mom and David talk to her about being too harsh on her the day before, and David tells her a story that shows he understands what she is going through. She leaves to go to the junkyard where she fixes up the truck and finds that Frank brought Damon with him. Rachel and Damon get into an argument, and Rachel hits Damon and he stabs her back. Frank holds Damon off while Chloe rushes Rachel to the hospital. In my playthrough, I interacted with Steph, Mikey, and Drew, who were also there, and finished up the D&D campaign, which was also one of my favorite moments in this episode and favorite moments in the game. When Chloe visits Rachel, she tells her to go to her dad's office in hopes of finding something that will help them. Now, this is where the game started to lose me in my first playthrough. You have to go to the office and find that Rachel's dad was working with Damon to subdue Sarah and had been denying any request that she had to communicate or meet Rachel. You have to burn all the evidence and take the money that he was going to give to Damon. And while all of this is already happening, Elliot walks in pulling the nice guy card. Chloe has to call 911 to request help and ends up getting out. She drives to the old mill, and while she is driving there, she almost crashes and has a dream sequence with her dad. Anyway, after that, she goes to the mill, she goes in, she confronts Damon, Sarah gets drugged, and then Chloe gets knocked out, and then she wakes up, Frank has taken care of Damon, and Chloe talks to Sarah. Okay. Sarah tells Chloe that while she wants to see Rachel, she believes that it is best for her not to, and that Chloe shouldn't tell Rachel that any of this happened so she wouldn't view her father in an even worse light, and then she leaves. When Chloe goes back to Rachel, she has the choice to tell the truth or lie. In both my playthroughs, I lied, telling Rachel that Sarah wasn't there, that nothing happened, that she couldn't find her. Right? I believe that this is the best option because at the end of the day, in my opinion, Sarah was right. I think it would be better not to view her father as a monster, and so she can still have a somewhat happy family life. Then we get the endgame montage and see a lot of really good Rachel and Chloe moments as their friendship continue to grow. And that is the end of episode 3 and the end of the game from a canon timeline point of view. Episode 3 is the part that conflicts me the most in this game. A lot of this comes with the context of the other Life is Strange games. The ending to all 3 of the mainline games are fairly large. In my opinion, a prequel that doesn't involve any of the supernatural events doesn't need all of this extreme stuff. This was a prequel that was meant to flesh out Chloe and the relationship between her and Rachel. I really think it should have focused more on that. It being Rachel and Chloe, and just Chloe and all of her relationships, and that. Not another mystery adventure. This is what Life is Strange 1 is. And just because it's the prequel to it doesn't mean it has to be the same. I think maybe if they had removed the whole kidnapping and hostage thing and maybe had it to where Sarah was instead actually abusing substances, it would have toned it down a bit. Then it would be up to you to decide if Rachel really should see her mother or not. Overall, I do actually like most of the story of this game, especially the little moments within it. The parts that develop Chloe's relationships with her mom, David, her dad, friends, and of course, Rachel. While I might not like the ending of this game necessarily due to the end feeling a bit too extreme in my opinion, if I were to maybe take it out of the context of the other games, I do think it works, and I do think it is a very good story. Moving on to characters, I want to start with the lead herself, Chloe Price. I actually do quite like Chloe as a character. In my opinion, she is well written and has a lot of depth, and a lot of arcs that she has are very solid. While she has a rougher exterior, she is a very kind and caring person, at least if you make her out to be. She goes out of her way for Rachel, and if you choose, she can be pretty good to people who are not. My biggest problem with her is the fact that she is just hard to relate to for me. I don't sneak in and out of my house, party late, drink, abuse substances, smoke, skip classes, and so on. I was born very fortunate. I live in a place I love, work hard in school, and have no traumatic events. It's hard to connect to someone who is so incredibly different from me in so many ways. That being said, I do agree with some of the things she says and does, and luckily this game gives you the ability to choose some of what she says and does, allowing me to have moments to see myself in her. Outside of not agreeing with her at some points and having a hard time relating, I overall do enjoy Chloe. She has a fun personality at times and really captures cringe teenage moments in a great way. Some of her lines are genuinely funny. This game does such a great job of capturing her as a person. We see her relationships and how they affect her, and we understand what her thought process is and her emotions. While I might not resonate with her, I do understand her. We know why she is the way she is, and it is painful to see, especially after seeing what happened and what she was like before her dad died. Overall, Chloe is an amazing character and the best in the game. She is given so much life, and I enjoyed playing as her. This sets her character up really well for her role in Life is Strange 1. Now, moving on to the second biggest character and one of my least favorites, Rachel Amber. While Rachel is fundamental to the story, I really did not like her. To start, I find her harder to relate to than Chloe, even though she is the one I should be relating to. She is apparently a great student, has a good family, and is in theater, all things I share. The thing is, she throws almost all of these away way too easily, in my opinion, primarily just because she found out her dad is cheating. This causes her to skip school, lie, steal wine, and start a wildfire, plan to run away and confront drug dealers, which led to her getting stabbed. This happens in the span of 2 to 3 days. A girl who is made out to be practically perfect completely 180s in a blink of an eye. While I believe it is possible for someone to switch this fast, I just feel like it was a little too quick. And I know this game was pretty compact, so you can't give it too much time for her to do that, but it just still felt a little too quick in my opinion. But she does have some good moments, primarily just casually hanging out with Chloe. The bedroom moment, the play scene. It shows that the two of them get along well and build connections. But outside of these moments, she can be really moody, and she constantly either forces, manipulates, or guilt trips Chloe into doing things. I don't think she is necessarily meaning to, but I definitely picked up on it. I think she might be like this to resemble her mother's in some way, which is an interesting idea from the people who made it. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what I'm picking up a bit. While I might not like Rachel, she is set up very well as a character and for her role in Life is Strange 1. James, Rachel's dad, was a character I didn't fully understand in my first playthrough, but during my second, I saw him in an entirely different light. In my first playthrough, I thought him working with Damon and trying to get rid of Sarah was way too much of a change, and was a bit forced. While I still think it is a bit, and while I still don't agree with what he did, I understand why he did it during my second playthrough. Before playing Before the Storm, I had just replayed God of War 2018 and had played God of War Ragnarok for the first time. A large part of these games is that Kratos would do anything to protect Atreus, and there has been so much media that depicts a father doing so much for a child, like The Last of Us and Mandalorian. Now, here we have another instance of a father doing whatever it takes in his mind to protect his daughter. He came home to find his wife passed out from abusing drugs with a baby not that far away. He saw that she would take up using drugs over taking care of their child, something that would have seriously harmed Rachel. In his mind, Sarah is a threat to his child. And that is something we have seen does not fly in so many other circumstances. Look at it from his perspective. A woman who can never be satisfied and would take drugs over a child is his wife and the mother to his daughter. They decide to split, and he would pay Rachel a couple thousand a month. It would take her around 14 years of preferring the money before she decided she wanted to be a part of Rachel's life. Then she sends a letter claiming she is clean and ready to see her. The last time he had seen or heard from her was 14 years ago, in theory. I can't, not 100% sure on that, and was willing to abuse drugs with a baby to take care of. He has no reason to trust her, and no idea what impact she will have on their daughter. Now Rachel is starting to be rebellious. She's skipping classes, lying, and acting out. What's going to happen when she meets her mother, who has been worse as long as he has known her. Now, I am not saying what he did was right or justified by any means, but I can see the logic and the reasoning, and I understand why he did what he did. This might be one of the few times where playing a game has completely changed my thoughts on a character and their action. I think Mr. Amber is a very solid character who did the wrong things for the right reasons. Sarah is a very important character whose side of the story we see little to none of. We know her past from James, and we see that she worked to try and see Rachel through her letters, but outside of this, we don't really know her too well. At the end, she shows that she understands what her actions have done and is selfless enough to give up her chance to see her daughter. While she might not like it, she has come to the realization that it is best for Rachel to be without her, or at least Rachel should have a good father in her mind. I don't like what Sarah did in her past, but I do respect that she has grown and come to terms with her mistakes. The thing about Sarah for me is that she raises a lot of questions. I mentioned earlier that I think Rachel was made to be the way she is in a way to resemble her mother. Both seem to want to live a life with little to no restrictions, are considered conventionally attractive, and are highly impulsive. I wonder how Rachel would turn out if she were to meet Sarah. Would Sarah see herself in Rachel and try to stop her from becoming her? Would she be a bad influence and they give in to their temptations? Would she start out as a good influence but slowly descend back into her old ways? I would like to imagine that she would be a good influence and would prevent Rachel from going down the same path as her. She has seen the pain that it caused her and those around her and would not wish that on her child. I know there is an ending where she does meet her mom, but I don't know what the true canon ending is, just, because of the sake of the games being, choose your own kind of thing. But I'm going to base it on what my ending is because I really do think that had she met Sarah, what happens in Life is Strange 1 would have been much different. I want to talk a little bit about David just because he's one of my favorite characters in the game and in the franchise. While he doesn't play a massive role in this game, he does play a big part in Chloe's life. A lot of my love for David actually comes from outside of this game, but this game gives him a solid introduction and depth. While he's the standard mean stepdad figure, we understand why he's like this. He served in the military, lost his best friend at the very end. He found Joyce and was able to find some happiness again. He saw what she and Chloe were going through. He's tough on Chloe because he cares for her and Joyce. He believes rules will keep them safe. He's not perfect, but he cares and he's trying his best. Elliot is a character I have very mixed emotions over. At first he seems like just some dude who probably has a crush on Chloe, and he does stay that way for most of the game, all the way up until he shows up at the Amber house. This means he, saw Chloe at the hospital, followed her to the house, went in. Admittedly, that is Chloe's fault for not even closing the front door. Like, didn't close it, didn't lock it, and not closing the office room door either. Anyway, now I get Bro was worried about her safety, and he didn't need to do all that. He honestly seemed kind of fine up until he pulled the whole nice guy card. I think it's good for people to address that, but I feel like it really wasn't needed. Now, what he said about Rachel is what really interests me.
I'm so sick of you not seeing who Rachel really is. When will you realize what she's doing to you?
Elliot, just take a step back.
No. You need to listen to me. What has your relationship with her gotten you?
You don't know what you're talking about.
First night you hang out. What happens? You end up in a fight.
You don't know what you're talking about. Rachel saved my ass.
I'm sure that's how it seemed to you.
Stop suggesting that she's somehow bad
The next day she convinces you to skip school. Magically, she barely gets in trouble. And you get expelled.
I took the fall because I wanted to. Rachel tried to protect me.
Yet somehow, it all worked out for her in the end, as usual.
You don't understand. You weren't there.
Was she protecting you when she made you take part in a play you didn't want to be in?
God, look. I'm sorry I ditched you for the play, but...
This isn't about that.
Seriously, man. You need to shut the fuck up before...
I've been quiet long enough. Look, Rachel is an amazing actress, and I don't mean on stage. She's fake. You're real, and I hate to see her manipulate you like this.
Elliot, I promise. No one is manipulating me.
No? Just look where you are now. A high school dropout. Hanging out with criminals and breaking into houses. It's crazy. It just as easily could have been you in that hospital today. If that ever happened...
Now, I know some people might disagree with him, but I actually do agree here. I brought up earlier how she can be really moody and she constantly either forces, manipulate, or guilt trips Chloe into doing things. This is something that I truly didn't see or process until he said this. In my first playthrough, I thought about it a lot, and I found myself believing and agreeing with him. I just find it strange that a character who didn't have a large part in the story, much less who is a nice guy, was able to open my eyes and flip how I view Rachel entirely. Now moving on to some characters that I want to talk about, but I don't think they played too much to deserve their own part. Steph and Mikey are cool characters and have great personalities. The D&D campaign was arguably one of my favorite parts of the game, if not one of the best parts of the game in general. Drew, while he appeared to be a bully, is actually a pretty nice guy who's just looking out for his family. Joyce is a great mother and character. We see the pain she has from the loss of her husband and the disconnect between her and Chloe. This version of Nathan is quite different than the one we will meet in Life is Strange 1, and is interesting to see a much more human side to him. Now, there are plenty of other characters to talk about, or I could talk about, but these are the more kind of important ones that actually played something to the story. Overall, the characters in this game, both big and small, feel human and have depth to them. Even if I don't like or agree, or even if I find some of them annoying, all of these characters are very good. Now, all the extra stuff I want to talk about, but isn't anything major. The graphics. Graphics are a mixed bag in my opinion. Overall, I think they're alright, but as a remaster, they weren't great. Then again, I don't actually know how much better it looks over the original, so it might be a significant increase. I love the art style of these games and their painted and drawn look. It gives it such a unique personality and sets it apart from other games. Also, the flyer in the background is absolutely stunning. It looks so clean and beautiful, so large and dangerous, but that makes it contrast with some of the lower quality assets in the game. Music, honestly didn't pay too much attention to the music in this game, but it did have a clear punk or rock type of vibe when I was playing actual songs, and that fits very well with both Chloe as a character and the overall rebelliousness of this game. It also had actual Life is Strange music, which is just the stuff in-game themes, but they weren't as impactful as I feel like they are in some of the other ones. Alright, I want to start with cons now with the game so I can end on a more positive note. So, bugs and glitches, there was stuff like missing audio that didn't match facial animation, subtitles not updating when I was watching it. You'd be looking and be like, oh, okay, this character's saying something, but the subtitles aren't matching, so the first line I had kinda I don't know if that was also in the first game and it just somehow didn't get patched, or if it's just a bug, I don't know. One thing, this isn't a real con, but when at first playthrough, I was worried that they possibly retconned the Chloe's dad's death and made him get hit by a train instead of the car. Because in the first game, or at least the original game, they make it clear that, yeah, he got hit by a car, not a train. But then we see all this imagery of him getting hit by a train over and over. And I was really worried. But in the end, they did keep the car ending canon. I guess it was probably for some sort of symbolism for a new beginning or something. I don't know why they couldn't just keep it as a car, but yeah, that's just my guess. This is a bit nitpicky, but in between cutscenes, and by this I mean going between doing stuff. There's one point when you're like decorating the car, when I kept going in and out, and it's just like just a couple of seconds, just having to wait to watch the character open the door, peep in. It's like, bro, just I get it. They're opening the car door. I know how you get in a car. I don't need to see a cutscene on it, right? Another one that every time I miss input trying to like change her outfit. I was like, dude, I just went back again, having to wait like 5 seconds for her to like rotate and walk around. I'm like, please, just let me leave. You know, that kind of stuff. That's not bad. I mean, because the first time you do it, you're not gonna like really notice. You're gonna be like, okay, that's cool. But like when you're stupid like me and you just constantly do the same thing over and over again, it gets tiring. Some of the logic was a bit iffy for me. Mainly just one part, that being what was the consequences and aftermath of Chloe and Elliot in the office in their house. Like, so okay, clearly 911 gets dialed and the police had to show up. So there had to be some sort of breaking and entering, right? Like, how's that explained? Because I think both times Elliot gets arrested no matter what. Maybe not, because my first playthrough I just having to run, and he might have escaped. I don't know, but it's like, what, like, does he get caught with like trespassing, breaking and stealing? Because like, if when Mr. Amber looks in there, he's gonna look and he's gonna be like, okay, the money for Damon is gone, the evidence is burned. What's the process here? Is he not gonna like ask, hey, what, like, that's just the thing. Like, what, I need to know the aftermath. It makes no sense to me. I know I'm spending way too much time on this, but my only guess is that he came there, he saw someone broke and enter, right? He sees the money for Damon gone and the evidence burned. And that, in my opinion, that means he has to assume that, oh, okay, and Damon broke in, stole the money, burned the evidence, and then he skipped town because now, you know, he's dead now, so he's not going to find him. That's my guess, and that maybe Elliot was part of it. I have no idea. That like, maybe that's my headcanon, at least. That's, I don't know. Another con, Rachel, you know, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, maybe if this game had like another episode or something, just to flesh the two out just a bit more, just give them some moments to breathe, where it's not like, okay, we have to go do this, we have to do that, where they're just chilling, just vibing. Do that. Kind of like how the end cutscene was, just showing them hanging out. That, please. And Rachel, I liked her. She played a great part, but I did not I don't like her. Anyway. And then, third episode ending, pretty much everything after, you know, leave the hospital. It's like, what is happening? That's my cons. Alright, that's it. That's the cons. Alright. On to pros. The cinematography was actually pretty good. I didn't remember that the first time I played it, but now I guess maybe because I'm more analyzing it and whatnot, I was like, oh wow, there's actually some pretty good cinematography in here. The camera angles during some of the cutscenes and moments was like, oh wow, that's unique. It's not just over the shoulder or just at a character's face or something like that, or just following them. It's like above, it'll spin, it'll do cool stuff actually. Chloe's depth and character, loved. I absolutely loved that. I just peak. I mean, that's the main point in this game, and they did it pretty well. The Max and Chloe episode, obvious pro. I think it's the best part of the game. My favorite. The first episode's pretty good. The theater moment, oh my gosh, I love that moment to death. That was like my big thing when I was replaying this. I was like, I can't wait to play that again, and I was so glad. And I actually memorized that too. Like I went, bro, great peak. The bedroom scene where you're setting up the light, love that. It's nice, it's sweet, it's more. I need more moments like that. And that David and Chloe like their relationship, like Lotsie getting built, saying the kind of friction it has, but also that there is some level of respect and trust there. The D&D stuff, love that. It was fun. Really, once again, some best parts of the game. Even had its own arc and emotion to it. Peak. Hospital scenes. This includes D&D, but also primarily the Nathan and Samantha thing. How do I even like describe that? Um, my first playthrough, I almost like freaking I don't even know how to start with this. First playthrough, I spoilers, I guess. My first playthrough, I ended up choosing the wrong options, and he ended up breaking her arm, and not like in an accident way, like actually assaulting her and breaking her arm. And I was like so worried that I saw so that she was in there again. I was like, no, did I mess up again? And I was like, no, okay, it was an accident. Oh, I was so happy. Oh my gosh, thank God. Maybe that's a bad mistake, but yeah. I think I already mentioned that in the actual video, but whatever. And then the trippy scene. Oh no, so before that, beats, story and arcs overall were great. I like most of the arcs, most of the story and stuff. Great. Finally, trippy scenes. Like basically any time she had a hallucination or dream sequence with her dad, it was great because it gives a moment of her subconscious, her how she views her dad, how she views herself, her relationships. It's great, and also symbolism with like the crow and whatnot, because blah blah blah. I love that. I think every game should have a trippy sequence in it, even if it doesn't need it. But like, please put a trippy sequence in video games. They're so fun and so unique because it plays with assets. It usually has some sort of big emotional impact or something. Like, it's just put trippy scenes in video games. They are some of the best moments and stuff I remember the most. I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. That's like a bigger chunk than some of the other stuff. But yeah, that's all the extra stuff I want to cover in this game. In conclusion, Life is Strange Before the Storm Remastered is an amazing game. It has simple yet impactful gameplay. While I might not like how the ending played out, this game had some amazing story moments. The characters have such great depth and personalities and are fun to interact with. I came into replaying this game thinking I was going to dislike it, but I actually ended up finding a lot more good than I did bad. I most likely won't touch this game again, at least not for a while, but it and the Life is Strange franchise as a whole has a spot in my heart. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say I'm not interactive with the Life is Strange community as a whole, so I don't have a good idea what the consensus of this game or the others are. Please let me know what your thoughts and opinions are of it. I would love to know what others think. I'll be starting my playthrough analysis of Life is Strange 1 soon, so if you enjoyed this video or the playthrough, make sure to check that out when it comes out. And once again, I'd like to thank you for watching. If you're still watching, I want to once again say thank you, but also just bring up some stuff about this. I started the script near the end of January, right? I started the playthroughs over winter break, started in January, finished them early on, started the script, and then I finished it in April, and it just took me forever to get around to actually writing or not writing, but actually recording and editing all of this. Like, right now it is June 11th as I'm recording this. That's crazy. It took me like 5 months, 6 months. That is actually insane, right? This is mainly due to school life and finding time to work on it and all that. Then in the meantime, while I have worked on this video, I have played Days Gone, Control, both the Horizon games, Sifu, and Plague Tale Innocence, right? 6 games. I played 6 games. I started Requiem earlier today. Like, I need to chill out, and I should have. I know I should have worked on this, but it was just I tried to record it. It didn't go well. I lost the motivation. But then I literally today I saw that the new Life is Strange game got announced. Life is Strange Dual Pictures or something like that. Like that was it blew my mind. Yeah, double exposure. It blew my mind. And I was like, okay, hold on. And it also put me on a time crunch because, like, okay, I have until October. Because in theory, it would be great if I can go through, play all of the games, right, in canonical order in my own little, like, canon timeline. And then at the very end, right, play the new game for the first time. I think that'd be awesome. But anyway, yeah, so now I'm on time crunch. I'll actually try to work on it. I'm busy though. It's gonna be an issue because, like, dude, there's so much stuff coming out. Like the Deep Rock update soon. I gotta finish Requiem now because I just started it. So after Requiem, I'll have to take a pause from finishing up my backlog, playing all the other stuff, and then I'll start with Life is Strange 1. Hopefully that might go a bit faster because now if I can schedule stuff right, I can boom go through it. I now have a much better feeling for how I want to type stuff and all of that, and then how I want to record and edit videos. So yeah, thank you for watching once again. I know this is a long bit, and I appreciate you all for watching and or listening. So yeah, goodbye, have a good one, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.